Right, so in the world of wrestling, you kind of have what you consider your main promotions. You have WWE, AEW, TNA, New Japan, AAA and CMLL, you can also say, and some might also argue NWA fits into that category, but I would argue otherwise. These are promotions that have strong rosters with well-known talent, and they have good production values and an ongoing on-screen product, but one promotion that also has all of those things, but seemingly never really gets talked about in the world of the internet wrestling community, and one that has never really been mentioned or talked about in a full video on my channel before, is none other than MLW, or Major League Wrestling. MLW, just for a quick history lesson, were a promotion that first started in 2002 running until 2004. They were kind of a spin-off of ECW and were kind of the remnants of ECW after it died, and the promotion was fully revived in 2017 and has been running regularly since then. They did have a weekly TV product at first called MLW Fusion, but in recent years MLW has gone under some restructuring and some changes in their front office, and it doesn't appear they have a weekly product anymore and rather just do events whenever, really. And in recent years I feel as though MLW has really just existed in the background. Like, everyone knows that it's going on and that they're a promotion that exists, but who actually knows what is going on in MLW? Like, do you ever hear anyone ever talking about the current ongoing events of MLW? No, you really don't. And well, recently I fully fell down the MLW pipeline as I checked out one of their recent events, and I've got to say, MLW is one of the most insane promotions I've ever watched. I watched an absolute train wreck of an MLW show that I'm about to talk about in detail, but I was drawn to MLW because of the fact that I found out that Austin Aries had actually kind of made a hard return to wrestling and is wrestling for MLW now regularly. Obviously, Austin Aries never left wrestling entirely. He's kind of been on a weird occasional schedule, but I never thought we'd see Austin Aries return to a company with an on-screen product like MLW, so it's kind of mad to see. And yeah, this was just going to be a video talking about Austin Aries and his return to wrestling, but I ended up checking out this entire show, MLW Slaughterhouse, which featured an Austin Aries match on it, and I had to talk about the entire show because, oh my word, what a car crash of a show this was. Right, so it's MLW Slaughterhouse 2025, which aired on the 4th of October 2025 from Thunder Beach Studios in Long Beach, California. Joe Dombrowski and Tom Lawler are on commentary. It appears to be a Halloween themed show, so hell yeah, love that. A bit early in the month, but sure, hell yeah, Halloween. And with that Halloween theme, we're opening the show with a Chamber of Horrors match for the MLW World title, and ooh, I don't love that. If you don't know your wrestling history, the Chamber of Horrors match first appeared in WCW in 1991, and let's just say it involves multiple men, a cage, and electrocution. It's a classic WCW gimmicky stipulation, and I get that's Halloween themed and all, but it's an odd one for MLW to bring back for sure. Anyways, the challengers in this match are Matthew Justice, who I think I've seen before in GCW, the Andersons, who are a tag team but separate competitors in this match, those being CW Anderson, who you might remember all the way back in the day for ECW, he's a veteran of the business, and Brock Anderson, who you might remember from AEW, he is the son of Arn Anderson, and interestingly enough, there's no blood relation from him to CW Anderson, from what I understand. Then there's Mr. Thomas in this match as well, I have no clue who this is. And then there's Chris Adonis, the former Chris Masters and former NWA National Champion. And then there's the defending World Champion, who is Mads Cruel Kruger. I vividly remember him in DPW just as Cruel, I think that was his name. And yeah, I remember liking his work, and he's got a really good look. It's interesting to see him as the MLW World Champion, but like, what a horrible first impression of the world title scene to open the show. A gimmicky cage match full of mid-carders and dudes past their prime challenging for the world title once again in the opener of the show. But let's begin anyway, because that rant I went on might just be longer than the match too, as Cruel dominates from early on and is throwing people around, but Matthew Justice stops him in his tracks, spearing him through a table. There's an insane chair shot to the head. bloody hell, is that ever needed? And it's completely no-sold by Cruel though. The Andersons, Mr. Thomas and Chris Adonis all get their individual shine in. There's a Tower of Doom spot, everyone takes each other out, and then Cruel fries CW Anderson's brain to retain his world title in just over 5 minutes. Oh my word, what an absolute shitfest, what an introduction to MLW and to the world title scene. Yeah, the first MLW match I've ever watched, and it was this. Goodness gracious, if this is the world title scene, then I don't even know what to say. After this, we then see a film trailer air. It's a film that Paul Walter Hauser is in, by the way, and he's a part of these shows and is a part of this show later on, so that's why you get film trailers on this show. Hopefully it's a good trade-off for MLW, I'm guessing. And then we see Shotzi Blackheart on the stage with a mic, as this is the first edition of Shotzi's Graveyard Shift, whatever that even means, and she introduces the tag champions, who are Dijak and Bishop Dyer, the former Baron Corbin. They are known as the Skyscrapers, and they cut a common heel promo as Dijak calls out Cruel and says he's a POS, which leads to Cruel and one of his cronies coming out and brawling with the two of them to the back. Then a man in a mask called Don Gatto comes out. Him and Shotzi have a shot of tequila, and they're interrupted before he can say anything by Ikuro Kwon, who runs down Don Gatto on the mic. I have no idea who these people are or what is going on, but Don Gatto then gives him the beatings after splashing him with tequila and walks out on top as that segment finally closes. Whew, my word, what on earth was the point of that segment? That was so long and drawn out. I'm guessing that was just an excuse to get Shotzi on this Halloween show. Why not just have her wrestle then? I hate segments like that where there's just constant interruption and people constantly coming in and out. My god, it achieves nothing. Then we go straight to a pre-tape with Priscilla Kelly, the former Gigi Dolan, who cuts a promo on Shotzi and calls her a broad parasite. Alright, damn. And hey, here's a match they could have done tonight, but I guess they're doing it on November 20th instead, so sweet, I guess. And we then go to our next match, which is the first Opera Cup quarter-final match. This tournament is well underway. There's already been a round of matches to this point. Star Jr. versus Volador Jr. here to open this tournament for the night. Proper lucha libre action here, very crowd interaction oriented. There's some nice action when they're working with some big spots as well. It's a nice little short match here between the two, with Volador Jr. picking up the win after about 6 minutes, and he advances to the semis. And we go straight into the next quarter-final match, which just goes to show how diverse this tournament is, as our first match was an all lucha match, and now the next match is Bishop Dyer against Satoshi Kojima. What an interesting mad matchup that is. This is quite a slow, methodical match. Dyer is in control for most of this match, just slowly beating down on Kojima, but Kojima, as a result of this pacing, has some good babyface comebacks and gets all his classics in. And in the closing stretch of this match, the action's a lot more back and forth, and to be fair, gets pretty exciting, with Kojima picking up the win with a lariato to advance himself, and I gotta say, this was a pretty nice match. I'm actually kind of nicely surprised by that. We then cut from that straight backstage to Cruel and Dijak, who are fighting again, and then Paul Walter Hauser is out for comms. Remember what I said about the movie trailers and stuff. As next up is the one we're here for. It's more quarter-final action, as it's Austin Aries versus Paul London. Two men here who need no introduction, but of course I'm doing it. Paul London, a former WWE Tag Team Champion, a super underrated guy in his heyday, and a guy who was allegedly fired for smiling, but I think that wasn't actually true in the end. And for Austin Aries, oh boy, where to even begin? Why don't you just watch one of my many videos I've made talking about the many escapades of Austin Aries' career and the many incidents and drama he's found himself in. But yeah, obviously this tournament is well underway, so this is actually Aries' second MLW match. He defeated Kushida in his first MLW match in the debut round of this tournament. And yeah, MLW is probably the biggest platform Austin Aries has had in a few years now, so it's kind of mad. But yeah, Aries gets on the mic before the match and cuts a horrible heel promo calling out the IWC marks and dirt sheets, and even acknowledges people who call wrestling fake and a work. Oh brother, don't use the F word when you're cutting a promo. He starts rambling more about haters and politics and what is going on. Get the mic off this guy. a weird promo, but as for the match itself, I did actually quite enjoy it, I have got to say. Austin Aries still moves really well, it has to be said. He is still a tremendous worker, and I don't know what Paul London was wearing, but he actually worked more well and with more intensity than I thought he would. Yeah, a nice back and forth match between the two. Aries obviously playing the heel here, and Paul London kind of playing like the babyface older wrestler. It's like a 2009 TNA X Division match, but obviously 15 years later. There's an exchange between Austin Aries and Paul Walter Hauser. They exchange some words, and then Aries takes him out, which then goes straight into a brainbuster from Aries onto Paul London to win the match and advance. Then post-match, Paul London is pissed with Hauser. Hauser then gets on the mic and runs down London and just absolutely buries him. He accuses London of getting him removed from the world title opener. I'm guessing he was supposed to be in that Chamber of Horrors match in storyline or something. I don't know what he's yapping about. They look to brawl, but it ends there. Right, whatever. I guess we're getting Paul London and Paul Walter Hauser coming up soon. Maybe it's for the rights to the name Paul. But next up, Matt Riddle is out and he's against Hammerstone, who I thought was gone from MLW ages ago. Yeah, apparently this is his first appearance back, but I remember he was a big homegrown guy for MLW and he was their world champion, and he left and had loads of interest from WWE and AEW, but I guess he just never got signed. But yeah, he's back here facing Matt Riddle, and this match I didn't really like at all. It started out okay, but it never really hit the next gear. It was kind of stuck in motion for the entire match and never really hit any sort of level of higher excitement, if you get what I'm saying. The crowd seemed pretty into it, I'll give them that, but I wasn't personally, and the finish was an absolute shambles too. There's a ref bump, and then there's interference as Kruger attacks Hammerstone now, and then Dijak runs in and attacks Kruger again. The ref is down for such a long amount of time while all of this is going on. Matt Riddle is also selling as this is going on too, and finally, as the ring is cleared from all the interference, he hits a low blow on Hammerstone and rolls him up, and oh how convenient, the ref is all of a sudden recovered and counts 3. What an awful finish. I did not like this match whatsoever. And then Matt Riddle post-match cuts an incoherent heel promo, and it just goes on and on and on. He probably had a joint pre-match. MLW, I promise not every match needs a pre or post-match promo. I promise. Let them finish their match and walk to the back. They don't have to get their chops on the mic right after. Next up though is the co-main event. It's the women's featherweight title match as Himawari challenges Shoko Nakajima. Not familiar with the challenger, but I am familiar with the champion Shoko Nakajima from early AEW and also DPW, and I really liked this match here. Shoko is super hard hitting and also has some very good agility and can fly as well, and I enjoyed Himawari's hair-based offense as well, and they actually had a really good matchup here, a really good pairing. Shoko Nakajima in particular really impressed me in this match, and I'm already sold on her as the featherweight champion. And yeah man, the two have a good sprint as Shoko retains with a big senton, a good co-main event here, as we then get a backstage segment with the former Dario Cueto and Blue Demon with a woman who I have no clue who that is. They're hyping up upcoming MLW shows and rambling about other things that are ongoing. I don't know what it is. I don't watch the product. Anyway, it's main event time up next as it's the last quarter-final match of the night. It's Ultimo Guerrero versus Mystico. Mystico you'll remember as the original Sin Cara in WWE, and he's a huge star in CMLL and worked with AEW recently of course as well with MJF. And Ultimo Guerrero is a long-time wrestler as well himself. He also has some history with AEW, but that could be a story for a video in itself. I might have to save that. Mystico gets a huge reaction and he's a huge star here in MLW, and I really liked this main event. It was definitely the match of the night. Some good old school lucha libre action, a clear face heel divide, two different styles, and really nice work from both, and the crowd were obviously super into it. Mystico just has that aura to uplift any match with the crowd just being in the palm of his hand. Ultimo controlled the match with good heel ring work, and Mystico had some great comebacks. It was a very fun main event with a struggle for Mystico, but he gets the job done and gets Ultimo to tap. Great main event match to close the show, and he moves on in the tournament to the semi-finals where he will be facing Austin Aries, who then attacks him to close the show. 2025 MLW has Austin Aries closing the show on top. That is insanity. But yeah, my final thoughts and final grade on this show are probably maybe a 6 to a 6.5. A lot of it is so bad it's good territory for me though. That world title opening match, the Chamber of Horrors, it was such a train wreck, but I couldn't keep my eyes off of it. Same with that Shotzi Blackheart segment where everyone just kept interrupting, and also that Austin Aries pre-match promo was quite something as well. But yeah, the tournament matches were pretty solid in-ring action wise, and the co-main event was very good, as was the main event too. It was let down by the Matt Riddle and Hammerstone match, which was a train wreck, and an awful impression on the MLW World title was left with that opener and the Chamber of Horrors. Like I said, this is my first MLW show I've watched. It's a bad way to introduce the MLW World title scene to me. It just looks so unprestigious right now. But yeah, I'll land on a 6.25 out of 10. We'll do a quarter star gimmick. How about that? Those are my thoughts on MLW though. Austin Aries back in wrestling is crazy to see, and he's up against Mystico. Maybe I'll have to check that one out as well. If you enjoyed this video though, then be sure to smash a like on it and let me know what you thought of MLW, and if you want me to watch more MLW, because personally I'm up for it. MLW seems like a car crash, not gonna lie. And you know what? Car crash wrestling is fun to watch and fun to talk about, so let me know if you want to see more of that. Subscribe notifications on so you never miss a video on the channel. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye, and keep on rolling.